With perfect counterfeit money, not only did he become a legendary tycoon, but he also caused the downfall of a national regime. Today I'll explain the shocking scam of Alves, the god of counterfeit money. He was the world's most daring counterfeiter. He was also the only deity in the hearts of countless counterfeit dealers. People make fake coins because they can't make real ones. But he crazily printed 200 million escudos using a real mint. This accounted for 2% of Portugal's GDP at the time. His name was Alves dos Reis. Alves was born in September 1896 in Lisbon, the capital and largest city of Portugal. His father was the owner of a small funeral home. Life wasn't extremely wealthy, but at least they were never short of food and clothes. This well-off life continued until he was 18 in 1914, when World War I broke out. Old Alves's funeral home fell into economic crisis and declared bankruptcy after 2 years of struggle. Subsequently, Alves dropped out of school. He moved with his family to Angola, Portugal's colony in Africa. Life in the colony wasn't easy either. Old Alves tried to start businesses several times, but failed every time. Alves not only lost his privileged lifestyle, he also lost the opportunity for education. He experienced for the first time what it means to endure adult suffering. To find a job and make money, Alves, who had only attended 1 year of college, forged a degree. To highlight his talents, he put down every impressive subject he could think of on the certificate: physics, chemistry, geology, mechanical engineering, applied mechanics, etc. Alves knew very well a school capable of producing such a multi-talented individual did not exist on Earth. To make everything seem more believable, he fabricated the Polytechnic School of Engineering of Oxford University from thin air. Alves was either insane or truly naive. He even took the fake degree straight to the colonial government seeking a civil servant position. Absurdly, the government appointments in Angola were like child's play. They did not verify Alves's education. They even regarded him as a key talent for future development. He was directly put in charge of important municipal projects like sewers construction and maintenance. Within just 2 years, at 23, Alves became the head of the railway department and the chief scientific officer of the government in Angola. This reminds me of an American film, Catch Me If You Can, where the protagonist's life shares an uncanny resemblance with Alves. Both faced family declines. Both lived by forgery. Both were fearless and remarkably clever. The film ends with the criminal turning over a new leaf. In real life, Alves harbored an almost pathological dream of changing his fate. He wanted to climb to the top of human society, to be among the wealthiest people in the world. However, a remote colony in Africa clearly couldn't fulfill his wild ambitions. So in 1922, he resigned from his high-paying job and status in Angola, returning to the Portuguese capital Lisbon with his wife and a large sum of cash. Portugal at that time was in chaos and disarray. Between the fall of the monarchy in 1910 and the military coup by General Carmona in 1926, Portugal's first republic saw 9 presidents and 45 ministers in just 16 years. There were also 25 uprisings. Experienced 3 brief dictatorships. In chaotic times, some seek justice, some personal peace, and some, like Alves, believed in the coexistence of opportunity and risk. Wherever there was chaos, he would go, only thinking about exploiting system loopholes for personal gain. In the end, Alves did find a perfect opportunity to get rich overnight. First, he forged about $100,000 in bad checks, quickly using it to buy substantial shares in the Angola Railway Company, ensuring he secured control of the railway company before the checks bounced. Once privatized under him, he could use the company's reserved cash to cover the issued checks. As the effective ruler of the railway company, Alves's wealth multiplied, stepping into Europe's elite, becoming a guest of nobles from various countries. People were deeply curious about how this young tycoon made his fortune. After a temporary satisfaction of vanity, Alves tried the same tactics to seize control of Angola Mining Company. This time, he wasn't so lucky. Perhaps he became too famous, with countless eyes watching his every move. Eventually, before completely securing the company, in 924 Alves was arrested by Portuguese police in Porto. He was sentenced to prison for embezzlement and arms trafficking. For a normal person, life might have ended there. However, for Alves, prison was merely a mandatory course. The most exciting performance in his dramatic life was just beginning. In prison, Alves didn't repent or cry. Instead, he remained extremely calm. He didn't worry about future trials. He knew his wealth would soon grant him bail. Seizing this chance, he patiently reviewed what went wrong in his previous scam. He realized that buying a company with bad checks required seizing control before the bank processed them. Otherwise, he would fail. Since banks posed the greatest risk in the scam, why not print money to buy the bank instead? If he obtained control, no one would notice the fake money. Once the money was burned and replaced with real cash, the scam would be perfect. So, a scam that would make history slowly formed in the confines of a jail. After just 54 days, Alves's wife sold all their assets and posted a hefty bail. Alves was thus released. Upon release, facing disgrace and misfortune, Alves's first move was to issue a public statement through newspapers and magazines, blaming the charges against him on an unspeakable conspiracy. Once things calmed down, he returned to forging documents. He portrayed himself as the European agent secretly appointed by the Angolan government for currency issuance. Why was Alves so focused on Angola? As a Portuguese colony, Angola used the same currency system as Portugal. Moreover, Angola was far away in Africa. Though not riven by civil strife, it lagged behind Portugal. The banking system was inefficient. Poor record-keeping provided room for Alves to operate. As for Alves's title of secret agent for currency issuance, it sounded fake and low-class, but secret became the key to Alves's success back then. Because of the special identity, it couldn't be verified, and its authenticity couldn't be easily proven. At the time, like many countries, Portugal's currency had long abandoned the gold standard. Moreover, Portugal was constantly in turmoil, internally and externally. The Portuguese bank took no measures to maintain monetary stability. From 1920 to 1925, the issuance of Portuguese currency increased almost sixfold. The exchange rate of the pound to the escudo rose from 1:8 to 1:105. Whenever the government needed money, they habitually resorted to the simplest and direct method of printing more money. Of course, the government and banks did act. At least their confidentiality work was excellent, secretly printing money abroad. The public didn't even realize their money was depreciating. These secretive operations lent credibility, providing a plausible explanation for Alves's identity as a secret agent for currency issuance. After solving his identity issues, what did Alves do next? To ensure the counterfeit money wouldn't be discovered by the government too quickly, Alves applied a roundabout strategy. He eventually connected with an official Portuguese currency printing press in the UK. With the assistance of the Portuguese ambassador to the Netherlands, Carlos Marong, he successfully gained the trust of the company's president. It's crucial to note Alves never obtained the authority to issue Portuguese currency. He merely located machines that had once printed money for the government. In today's world, every currency note's serial number is unique to prevent duplication. If Alves randomly fabricated serial numbers, his scam would quickly be discovered by the authorities. To solve this, the simplest and most effective method was to reprint banknotes previously issued, ensuring each serial number wasn't repeated. Otherwise, Alves' plot would unravel faster. To avoid raising suspicions at the printers, Alves's accomplice Carlos Marong lied, saying the notes were primarily for investment projects in Angola, though they'd reprint previously used serial numbers. Before circulating, they'd print Angola on the corner to distinguish them. They guaranteed the operation, while top secret, would not harm either country. Ultimately, they printed 200,000 banknotes worth 500 Portuguese escudos in the UK, worth a total of 100 million escudos, accounting for 1% of Portugal's GDP at the time. Today, that would be worth over £65 million, allowing Alves to join the ranks of the world's wealthiest people of the time. In 1925, Carlos Marong, leveraging his diplomatic immunity, smuggled the first batch of counterfeit notes into Portugal. Subsequently, Alves and his accomplices bought massive amounts of foreign currency, opening accounts in banks across Europe for laundering. As Marong smuggled in more money, Alves opened a private bank in Angola. No longer needing to use rudimentary tricks like bad checks, he could buy anything he desired globally. Mansions, jewels, farms, fleets, skyscrapers, multinational companies, all became part of Alves' wealth. For a time, the Portuguese marveled at this enigmatic new tycoon. As Alves spent more escudos, a false economic boom appeared in both Portugal and Angola. Alves thus became a darling of capital and media, praised as the greatest financial genius of the 20th century. During the global depression, he alone spurred prosperity in Portugal and its colonies. Alves knew his scam, though clever, wasn't foolproof. The more money he spent, the greater the risk of exposure. Though these counterfeit notes were indistinguishable from real ones, civilians couldn't tell the difference. Someday these counterfeits would end up at Portugal's central bank. Upon discovering numerous twin notes, the bank would trace them to the British printers by serial number. Alves and his accomplices would then be exposed. Thus, acquiring sufficient bank stock to secure control before discovery became the final, crucial step in Alves' deception. Portugal's bank had a total of 97,000 shares. Alves needed at least 45,000 shares for true control. Though his money came easily, buying a national bank wasn't that simple. By November 1925, Alves bought 10,000 shares, but faced a predicament. He'd squandered too much before. Now, he was short on cash. The solution was simple. Alves had Marong print over 100 million more escudos in the UK. This time, the operation wasn't smooth. Unbeknownst to him, the Portuguese government had long suspected him, but lacked evidence. Until December 4, 1925, when his accomplice was caught smuggling fake bills from the UK to Portugal, using the same method to buy foreign currency. Catching him red-handed, all suspicions turned into solid evidence. Soon after, Alves was officially arrested and brought to trial. The carefully planned scam ended in utter failure. It took the Portuguese government 5 years to unravel the entire scheme. Alves maintained he was merely a scapegoat, claiming the government and bank insiders were accomplices. Alone, he couldn't have spun 3 nations. Regardless of Alves's excuses, only he received the harshest punishment. In 1930, Alves was sentenced to 20 years in prison, paroled in 1945. His last decade was spent in poverty and isolation, dying of a heart attack in 1955 at 58. His partner, Carlos Marong, was luckier, serving only 11 months for possessing illegal funds. Post-release, he emigrated to France with a fortune. The British Waterloo Company suffered ruin, despite being victims too. Negligence led them to court. In 1932, they were ordered to pay £610,000 to Banco Portugal, never recovering. Meanwhile, Portugal's First Republic faced a more dire end. The scam exposed by media led to a rejection of 500 escudo notes. Banks refused deposits too. The government lost credibility, currency plummeted. The national economy nearly collapsed. 6 months later, Carmona launched a coup, ending the 16-year-old First Republic. The story of Alves, the god of counterfeit, ends here. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel.